Hey guys, welcome back to my workshop. This is part 2 in this series of me building a workbench for my boys. So as you saw, I just took all the clamps off from the work we did yesterday. So I've got the legs, the 4 legs are all glued up together. There's our 2x4s a leg. They're about 22.5 inches long, I think, if memory serves. Today I'm going to be playing them down to the final dimension. Still have to do some measuring, figuring it out. Not sure if I'm going to go down to the 2 inches initially planned. I'm probably going to go bigger, either 2.5 or 3. So these are lumber grade or construction grade lumber, so it's 1.5 inches by 3.5. So I've got some room to play with. The 2.5 inches, this is kind of 3, and I want to plane them down so that I get rid of these milled edges. Ironically, it's because I'm also going to put a round over in afterwards, but I want to get it past that milled edge. So I can put my own, and it also helps blend in the joint. So we'll see what I'm going to do that way. It all depends. The top came out. Pretty good. It's mainly level. There's a little bit of a cup up here. The bigger concern I've noticed is, despite everything measuring from the one end, I've got a little bit of a little bit. It's about a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch here in one of the boards that's overlapping, and I can fix that. I'll just have to take into account later when I put this over the frame to double check to make sure that once the skirt's on, if I have to trim these sides down at all, that it'll all fit together. I've got the biscuits cut in the back here for part of the skirting. Once I get these sides dressed, I'll then cut some more biscuits, and then hopefully by the end of the day, this will be sanded flat enough that I like it. And then I'll have the biscuits in the sides, and we'll be able to join the skirt pieces to the side pieces. Thanks for watching again. Let's get to work. Okay, so I decided I'm going to try to bring it down. I'm going to bring the ends down to 3 inches. We're going to see how it goes. If I get enough of the square out, or the roundovers rather, if enough of it disappears, I'll keep it at 3. If not, we'll go from there and see what happens. Alright? Time to make some more sawdust. Alright, so I've got the legs planed down. I went down only 3 inches. Just kind of watching as I went. I didn't bother touching the flat sides, or what were initially the outer edges of the pieces I used. Didn't really have to. There's going to be a lot of finish sanding to do still anyway, so that'll clean up any kind of the messes on the outside. There was one part during it where I couldn't find the seam on the bend. I thought I'd flip the piece over, and I hadn't, so that's always a good sign. The next step to do with these will be to put a taper on the bottom of the leg. So I'm going to choose the side that matches up the nicest. I can hide any unevenness underneath the table, so I'll look to see which one's the nicer one. And I'm going to put a bit of a taper on it. I'm probably going to go down to maybe 2 inches overall. It's going to be a 2-sided taper for you blacksmithers out there. You blacksmith out there. That kind of reduced taper helps kind of mitigate with any unevenness in the bottom of the feet, because there's less surface area in contact with the floor. Should be pointed out and noted right now that I'm not a professional carpenter. I'm not a trained cabinet maker. I'm really just a hobbyist. Everything I know has been self-taught. I haven't taken any courses. Learned a lot from my granddad, who graced me with a shop full of tools. But this is just how I do it. If you know a better way, if there is, I'm sure there is a better way. I mean, I'm not, I have no doubt there's a better way. But if there's a better way, leave a comment, link to a video maybe, and I'll watch it and I'll learn. That's what we're all here for, right? This is also not the prime material for this, right? Ideally, my own workbench here, this is a maple top on steel legs. And I've had to do some patchwork on it. I've had to jimmy it and put it back together, mainly until I have the funds to buy a whole bunch of hardwood maple or ash to make my own solid bench out of it. It's got a bit of a move to it. It's not the greatest thing. It wasn't meant to be a workbench. There was actually it was meant to be a workbench, but there was a steel top on it, so I think they used it for a lot of welding, machine shop stuff. But anyway, I know there's better materials, and I know there's better ways. If you got them, share them and let me know. I think the next thing I'm going to do is break out the sawhorses and see if I can get the top work surface of this thing flat, or as flat as can be. We'll see. Let's go. All right. Well, it isn't perfect, but then again, not much that comes into my shop is. I often tell my wife the day I'm completely satisfied with something, I'll sell all my tools. But for a rough sand, I think that fixed most of the major issues. There's one little issue right here that's still present, but that's alright. So, a bit of a wobble still, that could be the legs, and everything in here could be my bench. So, let's see. That's sitting on my vise. Yeah. Well, this is going to get for the moment. I might do some more work with it in a little bit. Yeah, it's just got a bit of a wobble, and I still got to fix this end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of cheat and pick the lighter side. That's going to become the top, and the bottom's going to get hidden. So I'm going to take my skill saw real quick in a minute here and just trim that edge a little bit. But yeah, that's that part done. We'll cut the legs next. But first off, bathroom break. I'm not going to film that. Be right back. Unfortunately, because I had to trim the edges of this down, I cut the biscuits in this yesterday in the front piece and on the edge of the top while I was doing all the other joinery. And now when I go to line them up, because I had to trim these edges down for some unevenness, these boards overlap, which means when I put the side cladding on, there's going to be a gap here that'll taper back if I don't fix that. So, it's not a huge deal, it's fixable. What it means is, I'll have to join the front part of the skirt on today, let it sit, and then tomorrow come along and trim this edge up just like I had to on the top. And then once that's trimmed, then I can add the skirt pieces on. It just adds a little bit more time to the day, but whatever. It's a fun product for my kids. It's not a huge deal. And the more I think about it, I got thinking about the final mill work, all the edge routing. It's probably going to go from a 2-part video to a 3 and then now to a 4, I think, as I do a lot of the final finish work. Because I want to do edge route, or I want to route edges on the tops, all the uprights, the legs. I basically don't want any sharp corners, right? My kids are 3 and 1 right now, so my youngest likes to walk around and hit his head on things. So the fewer sharp edges there are, the safer it'll be for him. So I'll do that. I'll take some extra time and do it right. So what I'm going to do now, I got my biscuits, I got my glue, I'm going to join the top to the skirt, and then after that, we'll see. All right, so got the back of the table gluing up, came out good. Did some measuring. After cutting off that little bit of excess, I lost about 1/4 inch. Which over both sides for gluing up, allow about 1/8 of an inch a side. That's not bad. I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. What that means is I need to adjust the stringers for the support pieces for the frame underneath, because that table is going to have, like I said, the skirting on 3 sides, so the frame is going to have to slide on the inside of that. Initially, I cut the framing to 30 inches long to fit in underneath that work surface. So I got to trim that in order for it to fit. Thankfully, after all the gluing up is done, the front to back, the 16 inches that I allotted for, is still there. So my side pieces are fine. I don't have to adjust those at all, and that's good. What I am going to adjust though, because I'm going to adjust the way I put the supports. Because in realizing, since I made the plan a while ago, I didn't really apparently give it much thought as to how I was going to secure the work surface to the tabletop. Apparently, I didn't really think about it. So, this is how the framework is going to go. Just very, very simple framing. And the reason I did it this way is because all these pieces are the same length. I think they're about 11 inches. So initially, I was going to have those go there to hold the legs in, like so, and then a centerpiece. Now, the thing I thought about just recently was how to secure the top down. So not only has this widened out, because I've gone 3-inch legs instead of 2, because I have the material, why not, more solid base. I've also foregone the idea of tapering the legs down. They're pretty good. I can flatten them out and I can trim them if I need to. Gives it less of a surface. I will chamfer the edges, but I'm not going to bother tapering the bottom of the legs. I don't know what I was thinking. It wasn't in that design, it was kind of on the fly. I've changed that on the fly idea. So the one thing I think I am going to do in order to secure the top down, I'll leave this center support in the middle. I'm overworking it. I know that. They're not going to put it through as much work as I think they're going to, but that's fine, whatever. What I might do is flip these two pieces here on end. And then that way, that gives me a means I can now screw into the top from underneath through these pieces into the work surface to hold it in. Will also help pull it down and kind of level it out what I can't fix. And then I can also screw into the sides and to the front into the skirting to hold it all together. By the time I'm done, we're not in anywhere near seismic area, but if there's ever an earthquake in our area of the world, they'll be able to hide under this thing and be safe. So what I'm going to do now, as everything's gluing, I'm kind of running out of things I can do today. I will do some millwork after, but what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut these down to size, the edge stringers, and then I'm going to assemble the basic frame. I'm going to put the ends on, and I'm going to put the side on, and we'll go from there. I might assemble the whole thing. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to assemble the whole frame. Well guys, that's the end of part 2 of this little video series, making up my kids' workbench. Thanks for watching this far again. We've got a fair bit of work done today. Still a long way to go, not even including finishing. I've got to do the pegboard frame, which I'm realizing now, much like the work surface, I didn't really plan a means to assemble the parts of it. So our dad was put all the way along to assemble the pegboard, but I never, or to accept the pegboard, but I never really thought of a way to attach the upright pieces to the top frame and the whole thing to the workbench. I think it's some L brackets at this point. I could rework it, but I'm also overthinking it. I've got some large L brackets that I think I'm just gonna tack into the back. It's a little grittier than I tend to like to finish projects, but there's something that's gonna get beat on and probably broken by my boys. It'll work just fine. I can always replace it anyway. The pegboard was kind of a last minute addition that may or may not stick around. We'll see. So, I think that's all I gotta say. I got a hell of a lot of cleaning up to do. So thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button up here if you like what you see. Link to part 1 of this series will be up here. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks guys. See you later.